Hello and welcome to Morris Park. I'm Clyde Morris, and today it's hot as all get out. It's about 103 degrees out. We're finally getting a little bit of clouds right now to kind of cool down the bright sun right now. I'm going to pot up these Euphorbia lactea variegata cuttings. Now, I took these last week, and you can see they're well dried. And they're pretty much ready to pot up. This plant, it was two plants of it that's actually from a whole single plant I got years ago. Another one I got from California Cactus Center many years ago. And I think I forgot to even put it in the video last time. But anyhow, last year we potted them up. They were growing in with my Euphorbia abyssinica, the king, for those of you who know the plant in my greenhouse. And the roots really looked woody and had really died back quite a bit, and sometimes those kind of roots are iffy if you're doing it like that. And sometimes they make it and sometimes they don't. On this one, the roots just didn't make it. They didn't rot or anything. The plant just stood still for the whole time. This summer and spring it didn't do anything. And on this one, it's really trying its best to grow some new shoots, but it just doesn't have the roots to do it, so it's not getting the moisture it needs. So I've done this before with this plant when it got too big and rangy, because this thing grows very fast and very rangy, and taken cuttings and restarted it many times. And that's what I'm going to do today, is restart this. I have my pot here full of soil, my lava rocks for top dressing. And I'm going to put all these in one pot, basically because these things do get tall and rangy. They don't look really bushy or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is put them all into one pot. Later I can split them up if I need to. And so I can have a bushy kind of looking plant to start off with. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do first, I got my pot here. I see all my cuttings are ready and they're dried. Now, when you take Euphorbia cuttings, it's best that you spray the cut ends off on these things, because they're going to bleed profusely on these ends. Also, when you take these cuttings, you want to make sure you got to get them out of constriction. Your chances for rooting and not rotting are much better if you get them out of constriction here on the stem. So if you ever cut one, you want to cut one like here or something like that to get that constriction. That way there's less chance of rotting and more chance of rooting. Also, to help them out, I've got some rooting powder here, and I'm going to use this also. So here we go. I'm just going to, this doesn't have a lot in it. I'm just going to kind of stick them in there. See if I can give it a shake. I'm going to coat that bottom half. And all you really got to do is just kind of stick it in there. And I'll make sure these outer branches go to the outside. Yeah, maybe a little tough. I think what I might need to start off with is a little more soil, because that branch is just kind of in the way there. So we'll lift up that soil a little bit so it sits a little higher. And I'll go ahead and put this branch in. Right there. Now, these are going to be kind of precarious at first, but I'll be staking them up. There, nice coating. And probably while you're planting these, you're going to have them bleed a little bit. So remember, wash your hands, because these things can be wicked. Okay, we'll just tamp that down a little bit. And we'll start on these other cuttings. I got kind of a stumpy one here. Put off over on the other side. See if I can fit this in here. Might be a little precarious. Whoops, knocked one over. So these are going to be pretty sketchy as far as standing up until I get some bamboo stakes in there. And I do have plenty of bamboo stakes. And these are going to bleed a little bit because they're sticking each other. Whoops, a little too much. You want to tap that extra off. You're not going to really need that much. I'm just going to stick these in around the edge. When you take these, I say you got to dry them for about a week or so. They seem to callus up pretty good, especially in this hot weather. They've really calloused up easily. I'm not too concerned about the smaller branches falling over as I am the larger ones. Those larger ones have so much weight on the top. I have one more here. Find a place for it. Okay. Now I'm going to take one of these bamboo sticks here. Kind of tamp this down a little bit here and there. Make sure that soil gets in around them. Watch it, buddy, don't fall over. And make sure these things are all tight in here so they're not going to fall over and fall out of the pot. And then strategically, I'm going to kind of place some of these bamboo skewers or sticks in here to make sure they don't fall over. And put them to where they're up against these branches. If I can weave these branches in here, that'd probably be the best thing I could do. I'll try to get through here. Kind of like that. That's working pretty good. So I'm going to put maybe a couple more. Actually, I think 3 ought to do it. I think 3's good. And then we're going to put a little top dressing around there, and this will help hold them up also. Using a little coarser rock right now because I want them to kind of be big and hold them up. Not full size, but not crushed down to where I usually do that. I'm going to put that all around here. See here. Thought I might get a little better view here. We'll just kind of stick this in, as I say, kind of strategically, so it'll help us out. Fall them out there. Be careful, these do have thorns also. Anybody that's worked with a Euphorbia lactea, excuse me, knows that these things are kind of spiky. In there, let that settle in there. And there. And I'll get some of the smaller stuff. I have some smaller stuff I'm going to pour in around it. Kind of settle it all in. Kind of thought about all this before I did it, and well, I need some larger base rock, and then I need some smaller stuff to going around the base rock. A little precarious here trying to get some of this in. That's where the finer stuff comes in. You kind of fill in inside. I think once this gets going, it'll make a nice looking potting. Can't actually say, well, I guess I could say plant, because it is all one plant basically. It all came from the same place originally. I started this originally from one small cutting, and it was probably about the size of this one right here. And that's what I started with. And this thing has grown into a big plant several times. I just had to cut it back and restart just because it was just so big and rangy and took up so much room in the greenhouse. And so I want to kind of restart. So I really do like the plant. Okay. Settle that down a little bit. blow off the excess dust. We're getting a pretty good wind here today. It actually almost reminds me, and some of you out in Southern California can relate to this. Any of you out there, Orange County, LA, San Diego area, I suppose. It feels like Santa Ana winds out here right now. It's really dry. Now I'm going to go get a little water and we'll give it a little bit of moisture. Okay, I've got just a little bit of water, and I mean just a little bit. I'm not going to put this full bucket on. I'm just going to give it enough to show it that there's some moisture in there. These cuttings are well dried and they shouldn't have a problem. I'm not going to fully water this. This thing's already calloused up and healed. All it needs is a little incentive, not a full-on watering. And then we'll put this in a shaded place. And if you want, all that dust and everything that comes from the top dressings and all, and this has quite a bit of dust on it right at the moment, you can just spray that off with a sprayer, and it'll be fine. It'll wash right off of there and look great. Anyhow, I think this looks pretty good. Not sure where I'd like the front yet, but anyway, that's probably most convenient there for a front. But that's pretty much it. And there it is. In a couple weeks, this should just start to root. I won't be watering it really full on. Let's say I'll keep it in a shady area so it won't get too dried out. I think it makes a nice little cluster there, the way it looks. I'm keeping it also in a clay pot so it doesn't have the chance to retain too much moisture for too long. And these would do just fine. I've had these things sit on a shelf for almost a year before, just as cuttings. And they've lasted beautifully, believe it or not, and even started to throw some roots out the bottom of the cut. So that ought to be pretty good. Now, I want to show you something else we got going on here. We are in drought, folks. Horrible drought. The grass in the park is about gone. You see my our banana trees here aren't doing the greatest, and all that dried brush around it, those are supposed to be daylilies, believe it or not. I water these every day. Look at the ground. I think sometimes just like, I guess, throwing a glass of water in the middle of the Mojave Desert. And this is getting to just what it reminds me of. Show you this. There's a big, beautiful hosta that we've had for quite a few years. It was doing really wonderful before all this started happening. But it's just roasted. Some more of our daylilies. Just drying up. As well as our Japanese ferns. And I try to water these down pretty good too, but as I say, it's just so dry. Now today it's a bit cloudy. We're getting kind of a break now from the sun. Earlier it was just blazing sun. And not doing too good. Little fragarias there. Ornamental strawberries. This is right in front of our well house. Not doing too good. Yeah. This is apple mint. And it's not faring very good, but it's faring better than most. There's a whole row of lemon balm or lemon mint. We actually like this plant quite a bit because sometimes in the evenings come out water and stuff, the mosquitoes just want to tear you up. They're thirsty too. But this stuff here, I can shove a couple pieces in my hat and they stay right away from your head and your face, and the gnats stay away from your face, and it makes things kind of nice. So it's kind of a natural bug deterrent, but it's kind of in rough shape, and that's a cucumber, believe it or not. I'm having a little rough right now. It's under one of our redbud trees, some more daylilies. Now the champs of all this are these yuccas. I believe these are Yucca filifera, I believe. And they do just fine. You can't hurt them. Those roots go so far down anyway. The daylilies are just cooked. And I'll show you this. There goes the grass, folks. We really don't have great soil here in the park. We usually have to bring in soil and so forth for a lot of things we plant. Because you can look at this, it looks like we're out in the desert. If I didn't show you those woods, you'd think we were in the desert. I'm just hoping this doesn't go so far that it affects all the trees and everything. We even planted a rose here not too long back, and it's just roasted. My fig trees, they are watered daily, but as you see, they dry out daily. Now, partly it's because they're just full of roots in there, and they do need to be redone. Now, what I usually do when they need to be redone is I'll take these out of the pot in the late winter, early spring, cut about half that root ball back. Cut it all back and put new soil in it and redo it. And they probably need that this spring. This one's doing a little better. And they have figs on them, as you see. But it's a daily water. Everything is just so dry. Barberries. Barberries are curling their leaves. We try to water them too. But folks, it's just it's real tough. Even our Rose of Sharons, which are usually tough through things like this, are really feeling the heat. You can see they're very wilted. Flowers don't last more than a day now. Just roasted. As a matter of fact, it's been so dry that the other morning, Deb caught a deer eating some of her impatiens because, you know, they are filled with water. They are juicy. And like you see, we're just running out of water here. There's not a lot of green stuff to eat. The other things that are doing well, of course, are the Opuntias. Now, some of you have been following me for a little bit. Saw the super bloom of this Opuntias. And they're doing fine. Full of fruit. And it'll take about a year for that fruit to ripen up. Hundreds of fruit. All doing well. Cactus in the pots are doing well. They're not burning. Trichocereus grandiflorus hybrid. Clysteo cactus. I'm not sure the exact species. And these little cactus down here. There's a little purslane that started itself in there. Probably have to get that out after a while. It's one of the wild ones, so it doesn't get the real beautiful flowers like the rose moss does. I thought it might be one of the rose moss. I was just going to let it go ahead and go in there and bloom because it takes so much dry heat and everything, but it's not. It's one of the wild ones. Anyhow, folks, I just wanted to share this repotting of my Euphorbia lactea variegata white ghost and a little bit of what we're going through. But what I hear, this isn't only us. Even over in Europe, they're experiencing this. Daz of Cactomania informed me they may go up to 42 Celsius next week, which is, oh my goodness, extraordinary. They say they will break records. That'll be 107 degrees Fahrenheit, folks. Bad, bad, bad. So all you out there, try to stay cool. Bear with it. I know it's a little extra hard to work on our plants, but you know, we'll work for what we love. I do this in the winter when it's down freezing below zero, and I'll do this in the summer while it's 100 degrees and over. Anyhow, this is Clyde Morris from Morris Park. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're getting more rain than we are. Probably not. Take care.